Okay, hey guys, so Chelsea and I wanted to do an update video just to explain a little bit about what we've been doing and a little bit about what we've got planned as well. Everything that we do is going to be based around the government guidelines, but we obviously want to get you guys back in training as fast as possible because we know it is very important to a lot of people and to our community as well within Rolling Dojo and Escapology. So this is what we have planned.
Okay, so we don't actually know what the guidelines are going to say on June 1st. Like, we have a general idea. They kind of told us a couple weeks ago, but we don't actually know what the guidelines are going to say. So if the guidelines for personal trainers remain in place and personal trainers have to meet with their clients outside, we will be dragging some mats outside and doing one-on-one training with our students, and we'll have time slots where you can book in for those training. We'll teach some, we're gonna get our instructors in to teach some, and if the kids want to come in and do one-to-one sessions, we can do that. The idea is just to get people back training as fast as possible. That will be first come, first serve, and people will probably be limited to one time a week until everybody who wants a session has a session. But if the guidelines change and they allow personal trainers to train with their clients inside and maintain social distance, that could change again. If they allow us to do group sessions, we'll put boxes down on the floor and do group sessions. If they let us bring in family groups for training, we'll bring in family groups for training sessions and let family groups train with each other. We're going to try and minimize our contact with everybody physically so that we aren't interacting with everyone and then passing whatever on to other students. So even if we are allowed to make small groups, which is the other thing we're talking about doing, we're grouping people based on size, ability, availability as well. Those groups of 3 or 4, we won't interact with people in those groups. Like, if let's say we have Malia, Fran, and Chris as a group, because they're just 3 that I can think of off the top of my head that would work in a group. So those 3 would be allowed to come in, train only with each other in their little bubble, in their little quarantine box, and leave without interacting with anybody else. And we might even be able to get 3 to 4 person groups in the gym at a time, as long as those groups don't interact with each other. So depending on how the guidelines change over time, this is how we're going to roll out our reopening. I'd like to get to the point where we're having small groups in as quickly as possible, because I think that will be a really good step to rebuilding the community. But we're very, very aware that we want to keep people who are out there working, who are essential workers, grouped with essential workers, and then people who have been self-isolating grouped with people who have been self-isolating, so that we're minimizing transmission, if there is any, between people. We're also going to close the restroom and the shower room, so those will not be available. You'll have to bring your own water. It will have to be labeled, and we'll have water stations set up.
There's going to be a lot of protocols in place to make sure that there's no cross-contamination, so there'll be no changing facilities.
We're probably honestly going to close the front door and open the roller door, and that's how you're going to end up getting in and out of the academy until things kind of quiet down a little bit. But all those protocols, we'll send them out in writing so that you can see them. We'll take a video when we set everything up. But really, we can't tell you exactly how we're going to roll out an opening on June 1st because we don't know yet. But we do have plans in place for a variety of different situations. And I suspect they're going to allow us to do one-on-ones inside as long as we're socially distanced. So that is what I'm kind of assuming is going to happen first. But, we don't know.
Yeah.
So we have a series of staggered reintegrations in place that we're putting in place right now. We have mats that we can bring outside as well, so it shouldn't be too big of a deal. If they allow us family groups, but you still have to be outside, we'll drag the mats outside and let family groups be outside. It's flexible right now, but we do have plans that we're thinking will be integrated on the 1st.
Yeah, if there's to help us out, there's a couple of things that I think you can do. Number one, if there's people that you think you're going to be able to work well with, let us know, and we'll try and make sure that you're still working together within those groups, so that you can all get decent training. As we said, it's going to be very much bubbled. That seems to be the way of everything. So you're only going to be interacting with like probably 2 other people. And that will be all you're with. So even when we start the group classes, we're going to create those bubbles.
Yeah, those
that they
groups
can transition
won't change. So let's take Chris, Fran, and Malia again as an example. So Chris, Fran, and Malia will be a training group, and they have to get together. They decide when they're going to train. All 3 of them will sign up for a training session together. You cannot split from your group once your group is made, and once you start training with them until we kind of reopen a little bit more.
But if we have to go down like the isolated group training, so solo drilling type stuff, socially distanced group training, we want to get those bubbles set up then, rather than having to do it later, so you're still within the same environment and hopefully spreading that cross-contamination or preventing that cross-contamination type idea. So that's one thing that you can do to help us. Obviously, if you have any other ideas, please let us know.
It's really, really important as we start to reopen the gym that if you have any contact with anybody who's sick or you have any symptoms whatsoever, you need to stay away from the gym, and you need to be responsible and like isolate yourself. This is not something to mess around with. Here in Cambridge, we've been really, really lucky. It hasn't hit this area hard, but back at home, for me, it has. So we really, really need to take care of each other now. Sorry. But I know in California, things are really not very good right now, so.
Yeah, so the more that we can do to kind of support each other and help each other, the better. And really make sure that if we're all working together, we're going to be able to control this pretty well, and get back to training as fast as possible, and get back, you guys, like building our community again. I think that's the biggest thing that I've realized about this situation is not so much the jiu-jitsu. We all love jiu-jitsu, we love training, we love rolling, but it's the community side of things that people are really missing. We know people that are just completely socially isolated. They're stuck out by themselves. They can't go out because they're like high risk, and it's really, really hard on them. As I say, Cambridge has been pretty fortunate, or
we really have. Like, you guys, if most of your friends and family are here, you might not even be aware of how badly hit other parts of the world is. We have friends in Italy who have just been in self-isolation for months. Yeah. And it's been really hard on some of our close friends around the world. So.
Yeah. Just do what you can, guys. It's all down to us individually as people, to do as best as we can, socially. And it's our responsibility to do that. So please, try to look after each other. Do what you can. Don't worry about other people.
Yeah, we try not to get very political or touch on any hot button topics too much with our students, because that's not our role. But if this has taught all of us anything, it should be that we need to listen to scientists. So please don't spread misinformation. Don't post bad information. Make sure that you're verifying information that you're posting. Make sure that the people that you're surrounding yourself with are also, verifying information, are making sure that they're being accurate with what they're doing and what they're saying, because it's so easy for misinformation to just get out of hand and for everybody to suffer as a result.
Yeah, and information is like,
it's so easy to come by. It's so easy to come by.
And it can be so anecdotal. The best information, like I don't think I've said anything about coronavirus at all, because I've not known anything. In fact, the only thing I've shared was 2 podcasts that made me realize how important closing the gym was, and it was by a guy who works for the CDC in the US and has dealt with pandemics before. He's an expert in his field. I credential checked him to make sure that he's a very viable thing, and that's like,
you shouldn't listen to us about anything but jiu-jitsu, because that's all that we know about. Well, that's not all we know about, but that's what we're experts in. And you shouldn't listen to politicians necessarily about epidemics, because they don't know anything about epidemics. They're politicians. Listen to scientists. Listen to anybody who has research on subjects. Like, that is what we should be doing.
Yeah, so. The peer-reviewed research is like
Mm-hmm.
the most important thing. And don't get me wrong, that can be flawed.
It can be difficult to read too. So if you have to read other things, read well-respected news sources, read those kinds of things, spread those kinds of things, so that we can avoid all of this like fear mongering that's going on.
I think one of the most important lessons that I learned is people are vying for your attention. Your attention is a form of currency, so they tend to sensationalize things a lot. So every newspaper has this crazy headline about X, Y, and Z, and most of the time it's complete rubbish. They are trying to get you to click on a link to read their thing, so they can. This sounds a bit conspiracy, but they're trying to make money effectively.
The BBC has a page where you can go and you can see all of the cases in your area. You can see the stats that the NHS has taken, and that's really all you need. You don't need anything else. It has updates on the bottom on treatments, on everything else. I will post the link below. That is what you need. You don't need any of the other nonsense.
Yeah. So anyway, back to what we're doing. We will hopefully, I'm going to put that in inverted commas, we are going to be starting running classes from June the 1st in some kind of capacity or fashion. So what
exactly we do, like we said, will depend on the government guidelines. We will have safety protocols in place that will all be written out and sent out, and we'll probably do a video on them as well.
Yeah. So we'll hopefully see you guys all soon. I guess the announcement's on June the 1st, so it might be June the 2nd that we start training.
But that's June.
It'll be the start of June, okay? We're going to be back training hopefully next week, I'm going to put it like that, okay? In some fashion, in some form, we will be there, and we are going to make it the best that we can, and hopefully we'll be able to see you guys, and stay safe.
Yeah.
Mahalo.